here with Caleigh Copelin, and we are here to talk about the chat she's going to have at some point during the conference. So how are you enjoying the conference so far?
It is such a fantastic experience to be here. I was just saying to someone in a conversation I was having, ISES is such a rewarding experience because it's not just scientists, right? We have practitioners, we have amateur horse owners who want to learn more, we have all parts of the equation for the improvement of the welfare of the horse, because it happens at every step, right? We can make the science, but we need people to be able to apply it and to understand it and to take it out into their communities and share it with other people. So it's a really unique gathering as opposed to like a traditional scientific conference, and I really, really enjoy it.
Definitely. And it's just like our slogan, where evidence meets practice.
Exactly.
That's exactly it. So thank you so much for speaking with me. If you could just introduce yourself a little bit and maybe what we can expect from your talk.
Sure thing. So my name's Caleigh Copelin. I'm a PhD candidate from the University of Guelph in Ontario, Canada. And today I'm talking about my work on riding lesson horse welfare. So we know that riding lesson horses have a lot of really unique welfare challenges. They're in a pretty dynamic environment that can be hard for them to keep up with. And one of the questions that we don't really have the answer to is how rider level impacts them. So there's a lot of talk about the amount of hours a lesson horse works, but beginners are going to place maybe higher mental demands on the horse versus an advanced rider might place more physical demands, asking them for harder movements, working for longer, versus a beginner rider doesn't have the balance, doesn't have the communication, doesn't have the horse sense yet. So just looking at the differences between those two experiences and how it influences the horse, and working hours as well, of course.
Yeah, definitely. And I remember in my undergrad looking into riding school welfare and horses in general, and there's just not a lot on it, so I'm really happy, and I'm sure it's quite difficult maybe to do your lit review.
It can be, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of studies where it's like, okay, they were looking at something else, but they did this with a group of lesson horses, so we can take from that. No, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And it's where a lot of people start from. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
And I think there 100% is a place for riding school horses, which you can probably agree as well. Actually,
I
think
came up on lesson horses. I would not be here if not for them.
Exactly. I started understanding basic care and riding from riding school horses, so absolutely a place, but we need to understand kind of that area more.
Absolutely, and one of the biggest things I think we're hoping we can take away from this research is if we can help lesson facility owners create a more welfare-friendly environment for their horses, then you can model that welfare-friendly care and that conscientious, awareness of what your horse is going through for your lesson students. So then we see those students coming up through the levels, getting more advanced, going into competition or horse ownership, having a foundation that starts with the well-being of the horse. And I think most facility owners that I have spoken to are already trying to instill that. But it's like you said, there's these gaps in knowledge. There's data that we don't have. So all we can rely on is our best judgment. But the thing about lesson horses, most of them are chosen for that job because they are not that expressive, because they internalize any stress they might be feeling and they don't react. And it makes them really safe, great teachers, but it can hide a lot of things happening under the surface. So that's kind of what we're trying to look into with our work.
Definitely. And I spoke to Avail yesterday.
Yes.
Interviewed Avail, and you're one of the supervisors, right?
Yes.
For that. So as you said, looking into because they aren't as expressive potentially in some or most individuals, which again we don't have data for, but we can assume with what they're chosen for and the work that they do, looking into that detail with the facial expressions using Equifax. So that's great work as well.
Yeah, exactly. So that was a portion of the project that we did. Avail looked at the facial expression data and the Equifax because there was a lot of data we collected for this project. So today I'm going to be talking about the heart rate variability of these lesson horses and the behaviors that we saw from them under saddle. Heart rate variability is a physiological measure that can kind of tell us about fight or flight system activation effectively in the horses, and of course behavior under saddle can tell us lots about how they're reacting to the rider and how they might be feeling physically or mentally. Then we have another portion of this project that is not ready to go yet, where we're looking at the behavior of horses during grooming and tacking up during their riding lessons with different levels of riders. So we have our research assistant doing that right now. Hi, Juliet. Looking through those videos. So hopefully maybe next year we'll have data on that as well. But
wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions we're trying to answer with this study because there's such a lack of information.
That's actually amazing because, as we said, not enough information, but you're doing it all at once. Doing everything.
It's what we're trying to do. And part of the challenge, I've spoken to a lot of researchers and a lot of lesson facilities, honestly, that want to see this research being done, but it's a challenge of funding, right? There is a lot more funding being dedicated towards sport horses, racehorses, horses that are maybe a little more public facing, which is completely understandable with the social license issues facing our industry. But I really think that if we can get in at the ground floor with riders when it comes to welfare improvement, we're going to see ripple effects throughout every level of the horse industry. And that's what we're really hoping for. And my other belief is just because riding lesson horses are really good, and most of them are not biting kids or rearing or having explosive meltdowns, that doesn't mean that their welfare is less valuable just because they're more complacent. And we want to make sure that they are having a really good experience too if they're doing such a challenging job for us, but such an important one.
100%. And just lastly, what do you hope people to take away from your talk? I know it's a hard question.
Yeah, gosh, only one thing. I really, really hope that people just consider the experiences of horses who might not be as expressive. We know from research that some horses internalize everything and they might be experiencing a really stressful time in their life, but they're not going to let you know about it as easily. And so I think this applies to both lesson horses and all other types of horses. Be sure to always look further than just the surface level and ask your horse how they are really feeling about what's going on and what you can do to help them to feel good and confident in their environment.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Caleigh.
Thank
That was
you.
great.